Greetings, citizens, and welcome to another adventure of the Real Comic Heroes podcast. I'm Travis, and normally that's where Patrick would say, "And I'm Patrick," in his soft baritone. But Patrick is not with me today, so today I am joined by the hosts of DC Cinematic Minute. What's up, guys?
Hey, it's us.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, should we mention who we are?
Yeah.
Probably. That's probably better. We have names.
I have a name?
We got names?
Oh, man. I'm a person.
Yeah.
My name is Mark, and that's Nathan.
I'm Nathan.
That's Nathan. And, we host DC Cinematic Minute. It's a minute-by-minute podcast in which we talk about the films of the DC Extended Universe. Right now we're covering Man of Steel minute by minute. And we just had Real Comics Heroes. They were on to talk about 81 through 85?
Yeah.
So, if you want to hear more of Travis and Patrick, definitely check out those episodes. Or just the whole podcast in general.
Yeah, I recommend, definitely recommend starting at the beginning with that one. And as far as like release order goes, this episode will come out, for us like next week, and then I'm guessing our minutes with you guys on your show will probably be 2 or 3 weeks away. So,
it'll be I guess after this comes out, then it's just 1 week.
Okay,
so it's not that far.
Yeah. So and we had a lot of fun. I talked to Patrick, via text last night, and he said he had a lot of fun with you guys. So,
yeah, it was great. It was awesome.
People are texting about us.
Aw.
So today we are going to be looking at some trailers. We're going to talk about The Last Jedi, and then we will talk the Justice League trailer, which came out like about a month ago, so it's a little older, but when we've got guys from the DC Cinematic Minute podcast, felt like talking about some DC movies kind of made sense. So
yeah, as it should.
And with all the analyzation and discussions about how Star Wars kind of feels like a big influence for Man of Steel, it almost seems natural to talk about Star Wars.
Yeah.
Plus, we also love Star Wars, and we can't stop talking about it.
I guess that's kind of like my first question. I guess like what's your connection to Star Wars? Just in broad strokes, like.
It's hooked up through an IV. So.
Nice.
Pretty much.
Okay.
You want to go first?
I mean, my connection to Star Wars is that, I can't really remember a time in my life where Star Wars wasn't around.
Yeah.
I know I jumped on the train a little bit later. Like, I saw the special edition re-releases in theaters. So, 97? Yeah. So, like, that was, I'm 25, so, I was still a child at that point. And I can't tell you a time where I didn't have those VHS, that like gold case cassette VHS
I had those.
box. Yeah, I can't remember a time where that wasn't sitting on a shelf.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much in the same boat with the special edition re-releases in 97. And I guess like I don't know what happened, but like in middle school to high school, I got like super drawn into Star Wars.
It just blew up.
Yeah, to the point where I was like on Wikipedia all the time, learning all the information so that I could learn about the history. I always joke around that one day I'm just going to become a Star Wars historian, and like Jocasta knew, and just be like, yeah, I know about like how civilization started with the invention of the hyperdrive on Rakata Prime, but all that stuff's legends now. But like, I can just go on and on about it. But I love that world, and I think my love for like the minutia in that universe carried on to like things like the DC Cinematic Universe and, and so forth.
Very cool.
darkness. A balance.
It's so much bigger. I only know one truth. It's time for the Jedi to end.
What are your kind of first thoughts on the trailer? And you can
First thought about the trailer, is it too much like The Force Awakens? I think that's a question that definitely needs to be asked.
Yeah,
and I'm not trying to just
You're saying the way the trailer's edited or the way the movie feels?
the way no, not the way the movie feels, because I personally have no idea how this movie's going to feel. It honestly seems just like a regular copy paste Star Wars trailer, I guess. Like, I mean, I'm invested into this new story with Rey and everything, but like nothing from this trailer specifically took me out of the normal, like, I guess, Star Wars mindset that I have. But the way that the trailer was edited, it seems like it parallels the Force Awakens trailer in so many ways.
Yeah, I saw a trailer like side by side kind of thing, and yeah, they are very similar. Like even down to the first thing you see with Rey is her catching her breath, and then the first thing you see in Force Awakens is Finn popping up and trying to catch his breath. So and then it goes on and on, from there. But there are a lot of similarities. So.
Yeah, I think there are. I think someone tried editing it so that it looked like it was like verbatim the same. Same path. But despite that, obviously that was like kind of like a fake video. But this trailer does also kind of have some similarities. And I think there's even it kind of answers some, like if you took this trailer and then watched the Force Awakens trailer, this trailer almost answers or gives more context to some of the things you saw in the other trailer. So it kind of looks like it goes hand in hand a bit, because jumping ahead, like we see more of what looks to be like Luke's flashback with R2-D2.
Yeah.
Talk
about that too. Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see what happened and why it happened. I don't know what my relationship with The Force Awakens is right now, but I feel like I can't judge the film until I've seen 8 and 9 to really be like, all right, this is what the story was. But as of right now, it just seems like a film that undid everything in Episode 6, which is kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, I get that feeling. I really, really enjoyed Force Awakens. But yeah, it did. It is unfortunate that that original saga builds up to the end of Return of the Jedi, and then you expect Luke to set up a Jedi Academy, and that's obviously part of the extended extended universe. Which now Legends, but so it is kind of strange that you start the movie out and he's gone and there are no other Jedi around, and
it's like I think I said before, like you could pretty much just watch Episode 5 and then skip to Episode 7, because anything that happened in 6 is pretty much is not true anymore. Like Han and Leia aren't together. The Republic that they fought for doesn't exist. The Empire is back. And then Luke, who's supposed to start a Jedi Order, it doesn't exist anymore either. So it's just like, well, everything that they fought for in Episode 6 is, just kind of written out. But for a reason, I assume so. Like, again, I don't want to judge, and it was a great film. Like, but we'll have to see.
That's a good point about waiting to see 8 and 9 to see how, see what this sets up. It'll be interesting to see this new trilogy as a whole, and then really see how you feel about Force Awakens. But
I wonder if that's what people felt like when the prequels came out, like when Episode 1 came out, and there were the people that, obviously you hear people just like flat out saying like, oh, that was a bad movie, I walked out of the theater. It's like, all right, well, was there the majority of people saying like, oh, I don't know what this is going to be like, we have to wait? Like, did people have
I think there were
those mindsets?
I think there was a lot of, oh, that movie sucked and Star Wars is ruined, and I don't know. I didn't feel that way. I was young enough that, like, I was 16 when I saw Phantom Menace, so it was, and I was just within the last few years had been getting into Star Wars. So to me, it was like, hey, this is more Star Wars, great. And then it was a slow like realization that no one likes this movie, and that's really strange. So, but
yeah, I don't know. I think I was just too young to understand what. I mean, again, I was just on that track. A new Star Wars movie, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Give me the coloring books. Like,
Right.
I'll take all that. That was me.
I collected all the Series 1 Phantom Menace action figures, so like I got into it, pretty heavy.
I remember Pizza Hut being a really big, like, big into Episode 1, and I remember
Pepsi,
Pepsi. I had a couple of the cans.
Yeah. I like how this trailer starts out. You got like a star field, and then those like points of light transition into the rocks that we see Rey's hand, smash down on. Just a nice little visual. I like little touches like that.
Probably won't. Well, I don't know. I don't know if it could like be used in the film or if it was just used for the trailer.
I'm betting it was just for the trailer.
I mean, judging how the Force Awakens trailer panned out, like there was a lot of things in that trailer that you didn't see on screen. So, again, Star Wars fans the same. You just give them a little, hype them up, and they'll go crazy and run their mouths about it. So,
I guess I can't really tell if this is a teaser, right? This isn't a full trailer.
Yeah,
well, what's the difference between the two? Like, is a full trailer, does it actually give you the plot line of what it's going to be?
Yeah, I thought that's what a trailer does. Like, a trailer is like, all right, here's like
the third Dawn of Justice trailer where it like actually kind of showed you the acts.
Yeah, and then a teaser is meant to like give you like snippets of like, oh, we're shooting something like this and shooting something like that, and it's supposed to like show you that the film's in production. Really, those are what like the teasers are for.
Here's what's ready to show you guys, that kind of...
Yeah.
And I'm kind of, at this point, like, this is the only trailer I really want to see until the movie comes out. And I've been getting that way the last few years. Just, years and years ago, I would have followed every official and unofficial, leak or release of, a Spider-Man movie, the Christopher Nolan Batman stuff. Like, I would just be every day looking at that kind of stuff. But now I'm pretty much like, I want to see the one trailer and then that's it. So, and then anything like official like images or whatever. But
yeah, I think these two trailers, like these two universes, Star Wars and DC Extended Universe, they're pretty much the only ones that I watch the first trailer and then I go, all right, I'm set.
Okay.
So these two that we're covering are basically going to be the last things I see until the movie comes out. So
I'll try to stay away from all the other ones too.
Yeah.
Try to stay away.
Yeah. Been staying away from Wonder Woman, so that's good.
Yeah.
Which I heard Wonder Woman's like doing a good job of like
their advertising.
No, like when they do their trailers, they're not doing like Dawn of Justice. That's like they show everything.
Yeah,
they're like apparently Ares hasn't even been shown. I think he's like his arm is in one shot of one TV spot. I heard, but like that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, TV spots are one of those things I never even check out. TV spots. But
yeah, people get crazy about TV spots.
I remember the Attack of the Clones TV spots. Those ones were pretty good from what I recall. I remember like getting the DVD and like actually going back specifically to watch the TV spots. Like it had like the Yoda one, and you know,
I know
it
a
had,
guy,
like, Anakin
or
and Padme.
not a guy. A long time ago when the third Transformers film was coming out, they were this guy had spliced all the TV spots and trailers together to show you the entire Starscream scene where he dies.
Oh, wow.
Because they chopped up that entire scene and used it in different TV spots and trailers, and they were like, you can watch the entire Starscream fight because I just spliced all the TV spots. I was like, what? That's crazy. Why would you want that?
What if he just told you he spliced up the TV spots, but
I saw it.
In reality, he just took it right from.
Oh yeah, and
He
just
just
like,
took it
oh,
right from
I just
it.
had this scene.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna put it. No, it was really cool, but at the same time, really just like you kind of ruined that.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't want to see that with like The Last Jedi. I want to remain in mystery.
The biggest thing that kind of does spoilers is like all the action figure releases.
Yeah.
And like the packaging and all that stuff. Like I remember, especially with Force Awakens that came out, like all the packaging and a lot of the marketing things that would come out, you know, a couple months prior to its release. Like I tried so hard to stay away from all those sites, but you know,
those are
it
hard
just
to
ends
avoid
up
sometimes.
bringing you down.
You know.
Oh yeah, most
Especially
definitely.
because you see it before you kind of know what you're looking at, and then so.
Do you guys think Rey's gonna have much of a character development in this film?
I think she's gonna find out that being a Jedi, or at least being this new version of what a Jedi is, based on Luke's teaching, I think she's gonna be in for like, you know, a rude awakening as far as like expectations versus, I guess, what Luke Skywalker is like, you know.
Yeah, dreams of a hero might be crushed.
Yeah,
which I don't know. To me, I got like the opposite reaction. In the trailer, he says, you know, like it's time for the Jedi to end.
Yeah,
was like the biggest thing to take away from that film. And I think for most people are like, oh my god, like what do you mean the Jedi? And I was like, I wouldn't say I was clapping because I wasn't, but like it mentally I was like, yes, Jedi have to end, because like there's something like that we've been talking about and they've kind of hinted on in Rebels, and it's about like Benduism and something like that, which is more of a center balanced,
right,
gray way of viewing the Force, and I'm assuming that's the path he's on now, so I'm excited. That's what really got me excited, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that maybe he's more enlightened now more than ever. And it may seem scary, but he's really like he's on the right track, almost like Qui-Gon before him was, in my opinion.
I would like to see that very doubtful Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
Every time I see Luke Skywalker, he's always like the hero. He's always the very optimistic guy that, you know, sees the light in everybody. I mean, look at the end of Jedi.
Right.
Like I don't want to see that anymore. I would very much like to see a very doubtful or broken Luke Skywalker. I was thinking, do you think we'll see like, I wrote it down and now I'm beating myself up for the way that I wrote it, but I wrote down, will we see real Jedi training? And then it kind of begs the question, well, what is real Jedi training? But aside from that, like, will we see like a traditional Jedi training, like what we've known from, you know, Clone Wars and extended universe things with, like, you know, Anakin going through his trials and whatnot? Or is it just going to be like another Empire where Luke is just, you know, in the swamp for a few hours and then he's done? Is Rey just going to be on an island for like a day? Or, you know, I would like to see like, you know, completed training, but like also in that like samurai sense where like you are like excluded on this one place. So like, I don't know. I'm a sucker for like 1970s kung fu movies, so it's always like the master and the student, and like he's doing like the training montage of all the things like in the field and like, you know, moving the water from the different pots and all that stuff. Like I would very much like to see Jedi training montage, but not cheesy.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't want them to be stuck in a swamp.
Yeah, not like a Rocky training montage, but like a
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get
it
what
goes
you
through
mean.
all the styles. Yeah.
My biggest takeaway, I think, from the trailer is, and we talked a lot about this on our Empire Strikes Back and our Return of the Jedi episodes, that, in Empire, Luke fails at everything. And, at first we just thought, like, he's just impatient and he's just failed. But then later on, like in Jedi, we kind of realized, like, he was set up to fail. He was not properly, explained things. Like, Obi-Wan spoke in, vague riddles, and Yoda even more so. Like, they did not prepare him for what they expected him to be able to face. And so when I think about The Last Jedi, it's like, and knowing that Luke set up, was training some young Jedi in kind of pre-Force Awakens, it failed because he was doing what he knew, which was not much to begin with, and probably he went back and found the Jedi Temple, maybe had some, the last wills, the Jedi Bible, basically, and maybe that's how he was training. But you can't start off on such a rocky foundation and expect to have successful results. So I'm not surprised in this that Luke is ready to be done with it all. Like, he knows that the old Jedi, the old Republic ways of training Jedi failed because his father, eventually murdered everybody, and he knows that his method has failed because, kind of the same thing. Like, he probably feels like he steered Kylo Ren wrong, and, who knows what guilt he's got from that. And, so I totally am on the side of Luke and understanding Luke when he says that it's time for this to be done with. And, and that's obviously my interpretation of what he means by it's time for the Jedi to end. So,
yeah, because I feel like the Jedi Order itself, back in the prequels and the Old Republic, that was set up on not a rocky foundation, but like it was just not what they all thought it was.
Yeah,
and I think Luke's really loose training and like his way of like, I think once he tried to rediscover the Jedi Order, I think he was like, well, this never worked, and this is why it failed in the first place. So that's when he's like, you know what, like we need to just do away with the old and start a new way of thinking of things. I come about it in a different way. I think that I feel like it's not going to be like a training montage between Rey and Luke. I feel like it's kind of a risk, but I think her and Luke are just going to be like this drama that happens throughout the film, and they're not going to
the whole time,
and they're not going to have like interaction with any other character until the very end, maybe. Yeah, and like the whole time it's just kind of like a battle of philosophy, or a battle of versus expectations versus reality. Mm-hmm. So like she'll like do some training, and he'll be really like mean to her, and then like they'll like have dinner, and then they talk about like what he used to do, and then like he just like kind of leaves her alone, and then they do it again, and they do it again, and like that happens throughout the whole time throughout the film. Meanwhile, all around them, I had the idea that since the First Order knows that the Resistance has the map to Luke Skywalker, maybe that's what they're trying to go after, is my opinion.
Yeah.
Because I don't see them trying to go for anything else other than to just attack. So
that makes sense that the rest of the New Order, or the not the New Order. Crap, what are the
New World Order?
The Resistance.
First Order?
The Resistance.
Oh.
It makes sense that they might be, their mission would be just to keep everyone off of Luke and Rey's back, like let them do what they need to do, and then try to keep the New Order. Is that right? What are they called? Oh
Resistance?
God. No,
the First Order.
First Order. Thank you. Just trying to distract them and keep them busy so that they can't go chase down Luke and Rey.
I don't think anyone would blame you if you just called them the Empire.
yeah, the Empire and the Rebellion.
Basically, that's what they want you to call them anyways.
Yeah.
They just can't.
Yeah.
But yeah, we see in the trailer there's a blockade
Yeah.
of resistance ships surrounding a planet. And it would make sense for the Empire to try and invade that planet. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
But like the planet that Luke Skywalker's on, it would make sense that the Empire, or especially Kylo, would want to get to that planet and destroy Luke Skywalker and Rey, and which might explain some of the action that we see Rey in and some of the action that we see Kylo in. So I'm kind of like trying to piece things together. I'm not sure how Poe Dameron fits in or what's going to happen, but apparently there's speculation that Finn will team up with that new technician, the engineer girl.
Rose.
I'm sorry, not girl. She's a woman.
She's a woman, sorry.
Yeah. Rose.
There you go. Yes. So I don't know. I'm not sure what their plot lines are going to look like.
Yeah.
It would be nice to not have Poe and BB-8 split up again, but it looks like it might happen. I just want to see more Poe Dameron with BB-8 in his in his X-wing. I want to see some good Poe bits, but I don't know if they're gonna allow that to happen.
Yeah. I had this weird sense from the first time I saw Force Awakens. There's a line Finn says that he's never going back, referring to the First Order, and as soon as he said that, I had this sense of, in the next movie, I would not be surprised if he gets recaptured by the First Order and then gets put through some kind of, mind, I don't know, reconditioning, yeah, and ends up being taken back over by the First Order, and just how tragic that would be as far as character turn, So
now, is that on the same level as Han getting captured by Boba and
no,
being sent to Jabba?
I think more of a he'd spend part of the movie, or maybe even the third movie, then as a stormtrooper again. Just because of the way he said, "I'm never going back there. I'm never going to be one of them again." For some reason, I just felt like that was a foreshadowing to. He's going back. They're taking him back, and he will be a stormtrooper again. And then that could be, pretty tragic to find out. Maybe he's side by side with Phasma, and he takes off his helmet, and they see that it's Finn. So that'd be a.
What if, I'm just gonna speculate here, but what if in his little chamber that he's like healing in, what if that like brought about some programming that was implanted in him? I'm just speculating.
Yeah, right. Like in case of capture, you have like a sleeper training or sleeper agent kind of thing.
Yeah, that could restore his programming as a stormtrooper.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But just speculating.
Yeah.
But it would be interesting to see because that's what I'm afraid of is not afraid of. I'm just really curious about is we have all these new characters now, which is great. I love it. I love it more than bringing back original trilogy characters.
Yeah.
Because I just feel like we need to concentrate on them. But then I'm like, how? What happens now? Because Rey had such a big turnaround in the first one. Finn was really sudden, so you never really got to. It was almost like you're introduced to a traitor. You're not introduced to a person who's dealing with all these hardships, and then he's like, you know what? I don't want to be a stormtrooper anymore.
Yeah.
It happened right away. But Poe, there's no character development yet in The Force Awakens, so maybe he'll have the biggest one in this one.
Yeah.
Or maybe he won't, and he'll just remain as like a background, like a new Wedge 2.0, which I think most people would be upset about because they want to see, Rebel pilots are cool.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, it is. I think with all the X-Wing books that people used to read, like they want something like that.
Yeah.
In a movie, like they want the Rebel pilots to shine. So I think he deserves a big moment, a big arc. I don't know how Rey's arc is gonna turn out, and I don't know if she's gonna have one or if she's just gonna be like the centerpiece for like Luke and Kylo to have their development. And then with Finn, I don't even know what they're gonna do with him. Like I don't even know like how do you go from someone who's in a coma to going to other planets and stuff? Like it's hard to tell. Yeah, but I'm super anxious to see it. Like I want to know what happens. So they got me with that one.
Yeah.
So the first time I saw this trailer, with the way it opens with her, obviously catching her breath, my first thought was she being force choked? And I know a lot of people thought that maybe this was just her waking up from a force vision, which is probably what it will turn out to be. But then I kept going back to what if when she hands that lightsaber over to Luke, the last shot we see, if his instant reaction is more like, I'm thinking like Ra's al Ghul in Batman Begins, where he basically says your training begins right now, and force chokes her and throws her, down a hill, and basically shows her like, if you want to know about the Force, this is what the Force can do, and it's not pleasant, and it's not all lifting rocks and so
yeah,
and I'm probably way off, but my first thought was, oh, he just force choked her and she's catching her breath again. So it'd be interesting if he was just, he went more savage with, your training starts now and, it's going to be tough, that kind of thing. So
it would be cool to see more force choke from Luke.
Yeah. And that could kind of go back to what you were talking about with, being done with the Jedi and moving more towards the Bendu and being more gray. And, I have to wonder if, did the Sith get it right with, a master and an apprentice? And maybe maybe the Jedi should be a master and an apprentice, because we've seen what happens when you get thousands of Jedi. They get kind of complacent, and they're unable to even see the Sith Lord, like, literally in the same city as them. So, maybe that's part of being a gray or that side of things. Like, bring it back to only two there are. Maybe training multiple Jedi is not the way, and so maybe take some of that Sith teaching and merge it with the light side, and then basically create balance that way. So,
yeah, I mean I'm not sure how the Bendu would like practice their ways. I just feel like maybe that as of right now, I put my faith in that. And I'm really interested. Even before the teaser came out, I kind of had this idea that like if she embraced more of a gray side, and like if we saw Rey with a blue lightsaber, but also using like maybe like force lightning or something. Yeah. Normally people would be like, oh, that's such a Sith thing to do.
Sure.
And I'd be like, well, that kind of like breaks that idea, and I would like that for you guys to get into a thing where you're like, just because she's using force lightning doesn't mean she's a bad person.
Right. They tried to do it in Jedi with the force choke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So seeing her use force lightning or seeing Luke use it, like, that'd be cool to see, in a way of saying like, I can represent the balance of both, and it's not necessarily an evil thing.
Yeah.
It was just mostly used by evil people.
Yeah, the Force is the Force. The Force doesn't have, I don't know, it doesn't choose a side,
Yeah.
The Force is an ocean, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And whereas the Jedi used to view the Force in like a restraint kind of way, so it's like they would only like have their feet in the water. The
Treading it.
yeah, the dark side, the Sith, they viewed it like they want to get as much into the Force as possible, so they like cannonball into like the ocean depths of it, and that's why they like basically get so misfigured because the Force like affects them physically.
They drowned.
Yeah. So like the gray just seek a balance between just being in the current of the Force. So as far as everything else in the trailer, it's a little too early to tell.
Yeah.
I can't really speak for the crop dusting ships or anything like that because
I want to know what that is.
I read that the Earth on that planet it's like red clay, and that it's covered in a layer of salt. So I think at first a lot of people thought that these ships were just spewing red smoke, but it's really they're like dragging maybe a tow cable or I don't know, some kind of line that they're kicking up the soil, which is underneath that layer of white salt. That's why you're getting all that red dust, and then I'm guessing they're just laying ground cover for someone to come behind them and attack those walkers that we see them going after. So
like what kind of ship is that though? Is it like a
kind of looks like a B-wing.
I don't know. It does. It looks like a B-wing that has
like
no
real
altitude.
Busted and more like a pod racer version of a ship.
Yeah.
It
got
looks
very
like,
pod racery.
What is that ship in Clone Wars? It's the Twilight that they first use. Remember that?
Yeah.
It's like what Anakin and Ahsoka are in. And it's like a junkyard B-wing looking thing.
Twilight. Twilight. What I think it was just called the Twilight.
I think it was just called the Twilight.
But I think that was a B-wing, wasn't it?
Yeah, but that kind of looks more like the vehicle here.
Yeah.
It had like the same wing function.
It had like one wing to the side.
and
There's
then
like a
the
little
one
thing
on the
underneath
bottom.
it. Yeah, it kind of looks like a B-wing.
A little bit like a trash B-wing.
Yeah.
Trash B-wing.
Yeah.
Or like a B-wing that like someone like Anakin would put that together. Like he C-3PO'd that like junkyard. Like this one goes here and I'll put this here.
Begs the question if this is even resistance or is this like local people?
Yeah, like local militia trying to take on somebody. And maybe that could be like they're teaming up with the resistance, like, hey, you guys go provide a smoke screen for us, and then we'll come in, we'll fly in with our X-Wings and take on these walkers.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. If they're using that as like cover for another attack.
I think that's what it is.
Just give me as much ship battle and starfighter battle, dogfights, whatever you want to call them. Like give me all of it. I
think we're going to be really surprised with these AT-ATs.
Yeah, I think they're shorter than the previous than the Hoth AT-ATs.
I think they're going to be more armored this time.
Yeah,
they're gonna have like rocket roller skates on them too,
and they're gonna. I wouldn't be surprised they had like a giant squad shield that like came down over them, so that ships can't get near them.
Yeah,
that's my opinion.
They'll definitely be. I bet you'll see an X-wing go in to make the same maneuver that they did on Hoth with the tow cables and wrapping around. And I bet the first time someone tries that, they'll have a defense for that and just blast it. Just completely take out that method.
Absolutely. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah.
We definitely need to see some more. If they're going to bring back some original trilogy stuff, they definitely need to bring back more of it and not just X-Wings and plain TIE fighters. But there's a lot that we would like to see, or maybe just newer things, like newer ships. Either bring more of the old or bring more of the new.
More influence from the old to the new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Y-Wings here, man.
I think I saw a shot of a Y-Wing, like maybe in the hangar when Podern Poe Dameron's X-wing blows up, I think there might be the rear end of the Y-wing. I think might be sitting in there. Yeah, awesome. But who knows? You guys got anything else on Last Jedi? I mean, I get the sense that you guys both want to see it, and
yeah. I mean,
we definitely want to see it. It's
become a problem.
You have to go see it. Yeah. Does this trailer get me pumped to see it? Yes, it does.
Yeah, but I'm also like, I think we're all on the same page. Where like, I'm okay with just seeing this.
Yeah,
like,
that's where I'm at.
Obviously, there's something that like is going to be unavoidable, like people and social media and whatnot, like how it gets to you.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with not knowing as much, about it.
And then talking about this next trailer that we're about to talk about, I don't want any more information.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'm the same way. I think as far as Last Jedi goes, we'll probably get another trailer around September, maybe October. I think Force Friday is going to be in September if they follow last year's, schedule or whatever. So we'll probably get something around then.
That's become the worst holiday. I'm just going to say.
Yeah.
Force Friday?
I hate it.
Really?
People turn into the worst on Force Friday. It's like Star Wars Black Friday. It's just the worst thing ever.
Yeah, man.
All right. You guys want to transition over to Justice League?
Yeah, we can.
All right.
We have to be ready. You, me, the others. There's an attack coming from far away.
Not coming, Bruce. It's already here. The others. Where are they?
Arthur Curry, the Aquaman. It's on him.
Organic and biomechatronic body parts. He's a cyborg.
You should probably move. Barry Allen.
Whoever you're looking for, it's not me. He's a Batman.
They said the age of heroes would never come again.
It has to.
What are your superpowers again?
I'm rich.
One thing I can tell you is you got to be free.
My turn.
Come together.
Shall we?
It's good to see you playing well with others again. Just like a bat. I dig it. Maybe temporary.
First thoughts on Justice League?
Stoked.
Super stoked.
Yeah.
There's one thing that I wanted to say, and it's normally when there's backlash to your film, there's a chance that the director making the next film blinks, quote unquote. Yeah. So then they try to change everything. In regards to what we're just talking about with Star Wars with Episode 1, there was such a backlash that Episode 2 was very different than what George Lucas had thought previously, in my opinion. So, like, in my mind, he blinked. Seeing the Justice League trailer gives me faith that Zack Snyder didn't blink, because for better or worse, you're getting to see his entire trilogy that he's had in his head, and it's unaltered, really. In my opinion, I feel like he's sticking to his guns. Is that a saying?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
stick to your guns.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, so I feel like he's not blinking. He's going to commit to the rest of the story that he wants to tell, and I'm really excited about that because it'd be more upsetting if he just tried to change gears and try to appeal to the criticism. And it's like, don't do that. Like, as a filmmaker, keep your integrity and just continue doing what you wanted to do so that we can judge it on like unbiased. Like, just be like, all right, this is exactly what he wanted to show us, and now we can judge it. Again, like episode 7, we need to see 8 and 9. Just like with Dawn of Justice, we need to see Justice League to see where it was all going.
I would disagree a little bit, because just knowing that they brought in Jeff Johns as kind of a consultant, as far as overseeing this whole world, basically. I almost wonder if they softened it a little bit, added little notes of humor throughout maybe the whole movie, and maybe change the direction just slightly. Like, I still agree that, overall it's going to be heavily Zack Snyder's vision, but I think DC needs to get away from one director's vision for an entire, trilogy or whatever, or cinematic universe, because I definitely think that's what Marvel did with Joss Whedon. Everyone thought Joss Whedon was the architect of the Marvel universe, but it was really, Kevin Feige. So I think they need to rely on like a Jeff Johns. Jeff Johns needs to be DC's Kevin Feige. At least, that's how I feel.
He pretty much is.
Yeah, I don't have any doubt that he is.
Didn't they work? Kevin Feige and Jeff Johns were.
Yeah, one of them was Dick Donner's assistant, and one of them, there's some connection there. Yeah, like they both worked with Richard Donner back in the day or something like that.
Yeah. I guess there's a little bit of definitely I think the biggest thing to take away is the music. I think that's the biggest thing that people are like, well, that's kind of different.
Yeah.
But then we also have to remember that Hans Zimmer is kind of done with superhero films.
Right. Yeah.
So now there's only Junkie XL, which we talked about in minutes with you guys on DC Cinematic Minute, where we got, we'll hear it more in Dawn of Justice, but in Man of Steel we started to hear some little cyberpunk notes of music in a certain scene. And having that, I would not be against, but it's just kind of unfortunate that we didn't hear it in this trailer. We just kind of got like a really weird Beatles cover.
Yeah, the choice to use the song makes sense, as just thematic, like the idea of the song, and obviously just coming together. Like, I get why they used it. It's like, why not use the actual Beatles? Like, why make it a cover? And I feel like that's, there's kind of the jokes about the Zack Snyder, making everything a little bit more intense or whatever. Like, people hated the guns on the Batmobile, so we added more guns. And then the joke about Aquaman's trident having 5, spikes instead of, whatever.
Yeah.
And then, so I wonder, is it like, and I don't think Zack Snyder is I don't think he's cutting this trailer and picking the song, but it's like, you don't have to change the come together, like just use the original, So I don't know. I'm not going anywhere with this, but
Yeah, I mean, it's not the song that really, I don't know. Like, to me, it was like, all right, it's just a song in there. Obviously they haven't scored the film yet, so
right, yeah. I'm kind of a fan of using popular music in trailers. Obviously it works for
just in trailers.
So many trailers. Yeah. I definitely don't want that scene in the movie with Come Together starts playing.
Yes,
no,
please no. Yeah, the trident thing. That's a. I don't know. That just bothers me.
Yeah,
It's just silly.
Yeah,
It bothers me in a way where it's like someone trying to tell you something, and then you have like stacks of comic books where you would just like lend them like, look at all these pictures of Aquaman, and please delete that comment.
right. Yeah. Well, I think the New 52 relaunch of Aquaman, his trident was like kind of the same. I think the design for the movie is basically based on the New 52 version, where it is multiple.
Yeah.
I don't know what tines or what, I don't know what you call spikes on a
I don't
trident,
know.
but,
Yeah. I don't. I keep trying to. I need to just look up the reason for a 5-point trident, but it almost looks like it's a trident. Obviously, like it's got 3 points, and then it looks like it just has like 2 side hooks to like keep prey in it. Like it's not meant to be. It is a 3-point. It just has like little
little offshoots,
like claws to like keep it in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't study weapons, so
I'm not a nautical weapon expert over here. So. Does that count as a nautical weapon? Yeah, why not?
Yeah, what else would you use it for?
I think they used them like in gladiator fights. Like it was a common weapon. I think for that kind of combat.
Like Ben-Hur gladiator chariot races.
Yeah, and the gladiator. I think there was one. Someone had a trident in
Anchorman.
Russell Crowe.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, I think there was. I don't know. I'm not mad at any of these
I'm not
interpretations of the characters now. Like
I've said many times before, Zack Snyder does an amazing job with casting.
Yeah.
Or his team does an amazing job with casting. I've never had an issue with one, and when one has scared me, it's turned out to be actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I love the casting of Jason Momoa as Aquaman. Like,
yeah, it just seems right.
It does. Like, it's one of those like, at first it's like, really? That, but then you think about it, it's like that guy he's a warrior, and that's it makes sense to that character makes sense to change from the typical what everyone expects Aquaman to be. That one makes sense to change, because no one has like an Aquaman, that they're. I think we all used to have that image of Aquaman, blonde hair, whatever normal looking white guy,
It just seems like if you have the argument to be like, well, Aquaman should always be, like look like he does. It just seems like you've been fighting an uphill battle by like, oh, like Aquaman shouldn't look like Jason Momoa. It's like, yeah, I don't know if that's gonna cut it. I think Jason Momoa is like, it's almost like this has been overdue for him to look like this.
Sure.
So instead of the Baywatch looking Aquaman.
Right. And I think there are certain characters that, for one reason or another, like they kind of need to stay in what you expect them to look like. Like Superman to some degree, Batman, Captain America maybe. I mean, but I think there are characters that are more fluid, like Aquaman, and even like a Hal Jordan. Doesn't need to be what we all, the way we all see him in the comics, and so yeah, it's interesting to think of like which characters are okay to play with, but which ones should stay in that mold that we're used to,
Yeah, I think a lot of times like the thought that, especially with the DC universe, that like different Earths and different universes exist already inside that multiverse. So like I think that thought constantly leaves people's minds. So whenever they do have like a different interpretation of a character, I'm always for the one that's like, hey, well, it exists. Yeah, it exists. It's just another version of what we know. But, the majority of people are always hoping that it's going to be Earth Prime. And it's like, no, those stories already exist. Like, that's what the comics are for. Like, it's not exactly based, movies are not going to be exactly based off of the Prime Earth in comic stories, because they have that, freedom to go into, and create other universes, create other versions. So why not? Like, I mean, if you have that ability, why not exploit that? Like, that's what that's my side.
Sure.
Like, come on, there's so many stories that you could explore on this if you just take that little, that little detail of, oh, it's just a different version. Like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
My favorite interpretation and casting that they've done, it's a tie between Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman or Henry Cavill as Superman.
Yeah, I'm on the Superman side.
Yeah. Those have been just, from the beginning, it was like, yes, this makes sense. This is great. Thank you for doing this. And I look forward to anything that they're in.
Yeah. Broadens your spectrum of the character.
Yeah.
One little note I had about the kind of beginning of the trailer is just I'll never look at those like probably shot in Iceland, those like glaciers, and not think of Batman Begins. Like, till the end of time,
so hard.
That landscape will be, that's Batman Begins territory for me, as far as like, seeing anyone, traveling through that kind of area, especially those like jagged vertical glaciers that we see, or crevasses or whatever.
Yeah, like, that was still Nanda Parbat, right? In Begins.
I don't think they called it that.
They didn't call it, but is it? But like it's
supposed to be. Yeah.
That's what I mean. One thing, Mark and I talked about this, and Dawn of Justice, when Cal is finding himself on that mountain, and he has a vision of
his father,
Jonathan Kent. Me and Mark are in. I mean, at least I'm in a strong agreement that there's some sort of voodoo magic happening in those mountains, and that's screams Nanda Parbat in my opinion. So I kind of hope that with the addition of magic in this universe from Suicide Squad, we get to see little subtle things like that, sprinkled across the universe, where like if Batman sees it, like he knows that kind of, that power exists, but he's still going to be Batman, and he's going to just be like, meh, there's an explanation for it. I just can't deal with it right now. Stoic kind of character,
Yeah.
Outside of the film, I think Warner Brothers just owns this kind of, like, has a location here or something. And that's why, well, it's not only because Batman Begins, but I'm also thinking of more Nolan films like Interstellar or Inception with like some locations like that. It just almost feels like, all right, Warner Brothers has this. Well, I wouldn't say like,
do they like buy property?
Not buy property, but they're like, hey, this location was great. Let's keep using it.
Yeah, their location scout. It's like, well, we need an Arctic area that could be a fishing village outside of Alaska. So yeah, we'll just go back to Iceland where we shot, parts for Batman Begins.
So what, do they like pay rent on that like beachhead there?
Something like that.
Like,
yeah.
Now I'm curious.
They have like
I'm
an
sure
account.
You pay the government. It's like it's like shooting in Georgia. You get tax credits. I'm sure you shoot in Iceland. You get, some kind of, you pay the government. I don't know.
Like how the prequels, they transitioned to Australia because Australia wanted them to film there instead.
Yeah, and that's true. Like cities and towns and countries will campaign like, hey, come shoot your project here. Like, we've got all these accommodations. I think it's a lot like when a new city like Indianapolis in the last like 10 years or however long Lucas Oil Stadium was built, like as a city, they were like, hey, we want a Super Bowl here, so we're going to build this, and then we're going to build hotels, and then have all these accommodations so that you can come here. So it's probably similar with locations for filming. Like, hey, you film here, we've got these amenities, we've got, all this kind of stuff. So
we did that here in Orlando with, we built a brand new stadium. Our tax money built.
No, I was there. I did it.
Yeah, I laid the foundation. We have a brand new basketball stadium for the Orlando Magic, and it's like one of the biggest stadiums out there. It's massive and it's beautiful, and like they'll have like, you can see like among the stadium like these Kia cars or something, or Lexus cars that are just like spinning on these platforms, and it's like, how do they get these cars in here? And it's like they did it, and they were able to host the NBA All-Star weekend. So it's like, it's just one of those things that helps draw in tourism or just helps draw in the money, you know. So that's probably what happened. I think the biggest criticism in this trailer has been the CGI work.
Okay.
So are you gonna single out a character now?
I might single out a character, but I like the character too much to do it.
Yeah.
So I know people are already thinking about it. I didn't have a problem with it, and I think most of the time people don't understand that this film is not finished. Yeah. And then by the time it is finished, then it's gonna look pretty cool.
Are we talking about? Oh, go ahead.
We're talking about Cyborg.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I thought so.
Yeah.
No, I know what you mean. I think he looks pretty decent in the trailer, and I don't know. I think he's looked worse in the posters and in the images, but I didn't have a problem with the CGI work here.
I don't have a problem with it at all, and I don't.
Yeah.
I really don't. I don't know why people are.
I feel like people always want to use the word uncanny valley whenever they can.
Yeah.
And it's almost become it's almost become an annoyance when people oh, that's uncanny valley. Uncanny. It's like, yeah, do you have to say it every time something doesn't sit well with you?
What is it? Uncanny valley?
I don't know. Yeah, uncanny. People used it a lot in Rogue One with Tarkin and Leia, which I just felt like, yeah, you can stop saying the word now. We get it. But do I believe it? I guess there's an argument out there for there's no such thing as bad CGI. Let's get that straight, first of all. There's only noticeable CGI.
Or dated CGI, for the time, you know. Yeah. Like in 1997, the special edition Star Wars stuff, it was amazing, you know. Because no one had ever seen the X-Wings look like that in front of, Yavin 4 and whatever else. But, I mean, that stuff gets dated, and, it doesn't... It's advancing so fast and so often that it doesn't take long for it to look old or just be outdone,
Yeah, so CGI can look noticeable.
Sure.
Because I'm sure if you show someone the trailer and they could say, oh yeah, CGI is terrible, look at Cyborg. But then at the same time you'd be like, yeah, but look at that. You could point to something on the screen and be like, you probably didn't know that was CGI, but you wouldn't think about it. So it's like, it can't just, if you're going to say it's bad CGI, then you're saying all of it's bad. But if you didn't notice it, then it's good CGI. So what you're saying is that Cyborg is noticeably something's amiss with him. But obviously we've never seen a cyborg in real life, so it's kind of hard to, talk about. I didn't know Superman's cape was fake.
Oh yeah, a lot of the times it's fake, and Batman's as well.
There.
It's a good staple in this, in this filmmaking universe that the capes are. I don't even know the percentage, but most of the time they're not there.
So it's like if I said, "Oh, the CGI is terrible," but then I never even noticed that the cape was never on him in the first place. Then what you're saying is you fell for it.
Yeah, absolutely. It did its job.
I wanted a quick note. I love the so we get this shot of Miles. Well, I wrote down we got the Miles Dyson, who he'll always be Miles Dyson to me. Joe Morton, who's playing, is it Silas Stone?
Silas Stone,
Cyborg's father. Yeah. I love the parademon that kind of creeps up behind him. Just those perfect red circle eyes. Yeah. For some reason, I just really love that, and I don't.
It's so iconic with the character and what they did in the DC cinematic universe, or not even cinematic, just the DC universe in general. It's good, and I'm a strong believer of the New 52. I love the New 52.
Yeah.
What that first volume of Justice League did, and as well as the animated movie that came out from it, that was
so good.
I never cared about parademons in the past or anything, but seeing that. Reading that book and then both seeing it in the animated version was like, oh man, these guys are they're the stormtroopers of this universe.
Yeah. They really are.
They've
become iconic.
Yeah, that's just the classic white helmet, white and black that you're gonna see, and it's these green beasts with these red glowing eyes, and are just like these massive hulking,
Yeah.
flying monsters.
They
It's
are
awesome.
designed really well.
Yeah.
I like this
Yeah.
interpretation of the parademons, especially what we saw in Dawn of Justice. They just look believable. They
Yeah.
look cool. Like, I'm for it. I don't know if I had to rank my interpretations of parademons, but this one is definitely up there, just the way that they look.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm kind of right there, like with what you said, Nate. Just like I don't have a history with parademons, so to me, parademons to me go back to the New 52 and that animated movie. So I like what I know of parademons, but it doesn't go beyond that really.
Exactly.
And to me, like in a good way, they remind me of the bug soldiers on Geonosis from Star Wars, like.
Yeah, just a better version of
Yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
I like the insectoid kind of, body structure and the wings and all that. Like I dig that.
Now, there's a scene in this trailer that it shows, I guess, an attack on Themyscira,
Yeah,
and is that a parademon army that the Amazonian
I think so.
Amazons are.
And I'm wondering,
There's
is
a
that
I paused it and I couldn't see. They just look
Yeah.
like, because they're the same beings that Flash dips and dodges, and
Yeah.
well, it looked like they were, but then those guys look like they're like robot armored men or something along the line. So I don't know if like there's two armies here that we're gonna see. Maybe Steppenwolf has his own
that
type
could
of
be. Yeah,
grunts versus the parademons are like I guess the main force. I don't know what I'm trying to say here,
Yeah,
but
no, I get what you
I
mean,
didn't
like-
know. I couldn't tell. Yeah,
I put it in terms of like Lord of the Rings. Like you've got your normal orc and goblin
Yeah.
armies, and then you've got
And then
the
you got your
Uruk-hai.
Uruk-hai,
Yeah,
yeah,
so
yeah.
that could be. Yeah, and that would make sense if someone like Steppenwolf has his own completely like handpicked army, or some type of soldier that only he uses, or so that would make sense. So,
It
but
would
yeah,
be cool to
it's-
see the Atlanteans and the
Yeah,
Amazonians like team up. That's what I want to see.
yeah.
yeah.
I think it was you guys in your this last week of Man of Steel Minute talking with, was it Mike? You guys were talking to, and we're talking
Yeah.
about introducing the Flashpoint basically as a Flash movie.
Yeah.
And I love that idea of seeing that on screen and incorporating Flashpoint into this, DC cinematic universe. I think that would be great, especially.
It most certainly would. Yeah, it pushed that idea of the expanded unit, like the like what I was saying before, the different versions of characters, and it would actually bring that point to, boom, right smack in your face, like, oh, okay, there are alternate realities.
Yeah, because I like. I don't like the idea that someone could say like, oh, it's too soon to do this or it's too soon to do that, and like something like Flashpoint or introducing the death of Superman are things that like need to hit you like when you least expect it. And so like if a Flash movie was just like jumping the gun, like, oh, we're gonna do Flashpoint, and like everything is gonna get like turned upside down and then restored at the end of it, like it's cool to see that. It's cool that, I mean, you have the Justice League, so you have all these characters who can play a different version of themselves. So if it was a Flashpoint film, like we get to see Henry Cavill is like really scrawny, captive alien.
Yeah.
We know there's CGI to do that. Like we've seen that with Captain America, and we get to see Thomas Wayne return, who Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Jeffrey Dean Morgan obviously could play that. Just everyone that there's in here in the Justice League trailer, you get a little bit about Barry Allen's situation outside of what's going on, with his father.
Barely.
Oh yeah,
barely.
Yeah. The hand,
barely Barry.
The hand on the glass between the.
Yeah. So it could set that up, and I think someone else is in talks to be the new director, but I can't remember who it is.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Robert Zemeckis.
Yeah.
Back to the Future. So I mean, it would make sense now because the Flash has changed hands a few times. Like, go with someone who's, proven and, people would be more familiar with and more, like, comfortable with, I think.
And it still has that comedy background to it as well.
Yeah. Because I like at first they wanted to go with someone, someone new who's kind of an up and coming and maybe, a rookie director. And I get that, but I think now you've got to go with someone a little more proven as far as, especially when you've had like, I think 2 or 3 directors, like your third director needs to be your final, like, go with someone who's, can produce.
Mm-hmm. In due time.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got. What is the Nightcrawler? I know it's Batman's vehicle that he's crawling. It's in the more of a subterranean area, but I know it's called the Nightcrawler, but I can't tell what it is. It looks wide.
It's supposed to look like a bat that's crawling. Is what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah, it looked like it because it like has not arms, but there's like it grips onto like those bridges that are spanning across the middle of this whatever they're in, cylinder tube. I don't know what their tunnel,
subway tunnel,
but like it looks like it's grabbing onto them and I couldn't tell if it like had arms or if it just the sides kind of I don't know.
Yeah.
It's I'm interested.
Sure.
The way that he got like it does a point to show him getting into it.
Yeah.
And I've watched it like 3 times, just from last night and then today, right now as we watched it before, and that was I think the one thing that I took not away, but the one thing that I actually like had to rewind and watch how he got into this thing, and it's very, very quick. If you remember in Dawn of Justice, the beginning where you first see Batman and the cop shoots the shotgun through the ceiling and he like very fastly like crawls out that hole. Like this is him. Like this is how I imagine Batman's movement. Like he's very precise. He's quick. He'll crawl into this little hole and whip around and cape flare, and he looks awesome doing it. Like that's awesome. Like this is I'm so excited about Batfleck. He's been my favorite thing. I can't get enough of him. The more the better. Like that's oh man,
I dig him. I dig him as Batman.
He's doing wonders.
I think what is really cool about the Batman in this universe is that like it kind of returns to a comic book sense where the Dark Knight, like you had the Tumbler and like you had he had equipment.
It was militaristic.
He had equipment that was like experimental military stuff. And like seeing this Nightcrawler is like such a return to like outlandish Batman.
Bat rocket.
Yeah, like Batman technology. I'm assuming that when they did that whole campaign about Save the Bats, that like someone like Zack Snyder probably looked at like how the bats were like walking around in like their little houses, and he was like, "That's so cool the way that they walk." Like we should
put guns on it.
Well, like no, that's exactly what people were thinking.
Yeah.
That was his mindset. But like I'm pretty sure he was like, "Wow, like why wouldn't Batman have a vehicle that kind of
moves like a bat?"
Looked like moves like a bat, but like most of the time people are like, "Oh yeah, like it would fly like a bat, like a bat wing." Like, but it's like no, like just the way it walks too is also like a cool vehicle.
Yeah.
Like it could climb up walls, it could hang on the ceiling, it could, and so like that kind of makes sense that this thing would almost represent a giant walking bat.
It's so awesome that like we now are just now getting all these like insane bat gadgets. Like Nolan did it. He had some cool things. There wasn't. I'm trying to think. Like the Tumbler was probably like the biggest takeaway from Dark Knight trilogy. But then like there were those subtle things like the that sticky bomb.
That's
launcher.
My favorite.
Yeah, but like that one got like nothing. Like someone like there wasn't even explained. It didn't show him like James Bond going to Q, opening up the case and saying like, "Oh, this is awesome." Like it didn't do that. But like I'm really hoping. And see, I don't mind not showing that. It's cool to just like have Batman just show up in these awesome things. Like if we get no explanation on this Nightcrawler, and like he's just beep 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 on his wrist, and like he calls to him, like I'm okay with that. It's like, oh my god, that thing is awesome. I want to know more about it now. But like if you're just showing it on screen, where him calling it down, that's cool.
Yeah, we don't need to know that it was designed for the military, and through it's a line item on a Wayne financial spreadsheet where we just misplaced this one and now Batman has it. Like it's fine to just show that this is just a gadget that Batman has produced in his 20 years of Batmaning around. So something I was listening to, I don't now remember how might have been your show, might have been someone else, talking about how Batman, like, in the movies, he moves obviously like a man. He walks around, he can do some kicks and some flips and stuff like that sometimes. But then when you see Batman in like the animated series, he can jump across a building, or he can make like physical, leaps or movements they're just slightly above reality as far as what a normal human could actually do. And that's where like this Batman, the Ben Affleck's Batman, can kind of bridges those two. Like we're seeing him move in a way that we've never seen a Batman move physically in any of the Batman movies, and it's closer to that more exaggerated animated. I'm thinking of like in Dawn of Justice, where he's swinging out of the way of Doomsday's heat vision, and he does that iconic Dark Knight Returns pose, and then swoops into another shoots out another line and swings away, and then the stuff we're seeing here where he's swinging through, and it's just it's not really what a real person could do in the physical world, but it's more of that comic book and animated movement that he's able to do that we're so used to, but we've never been able to see really an actor perform those movements. And it's a nice, that's what makes Batfleck, one of, if not the best on-screen versions of Batman. So
I will agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
I think it's because this is the first time we're seeing Batman fight super powered beings.
Well,
on film.
Mr. Freeze has superpowers.
Yeah.
Poison Ivy has superpowers.
Yeah, but they're not like throwing like
Bane.
Yeah, but they like they bring it down a bit. Like he's got Mr. Freeze has like the freeze gun.
Yeah.
But like you never see Poison Ivy throwing like giant vine whips at him or something, and he's like having to like tumble through him and stuff like that. Like he like in this film and then in the last film, Dawn of Justice, he's like having to use his grappling hook often to get out of danger and stuff like and like he's got to like use a smoke grenade to like get out of harm's way, and like you've never seen that in a Batman film because he's never had to, because the villain is just kind of like it's either a hand-to-hand combat fight or it's a psychological fight.
Yeah.
So
either way, I'm excited.
Oh yeah,
I'll pay ticket price just to see more Ben Affleck Batman. Like I mean, Justice League is like my home. I put it on the same scale as Star Wars and DC Comics in general and stuff. But like out of these movies, like I know that I'm going to see Batman.
Yeah.
That's worth my ticket price.
Oh, and the rest of the Trinity too.
Oh yeah, no. Don't get me wrong. It's always
Henry
great
Cavill,
to see them.
Man of Steel sequel.
They're fantastic.
Bring it.
But like, I don't know what it is. It's just going back to me being a kid and being fascinated by Batman always. And it's like, yeah, this is the pinnacle. Like this is what I wanted. Like you said, like this is like we're just now finally starting to see an actual comic book representation of the character instead of a guy in a rubber bat suit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like when you see Spider-Man on film for the first time. It's like they didn't have to try and make Spider-Man a real man because they were limited by not being able to show him swinging through. Obviously they used CGI for that, but you see that first Spider-Man movie, you think that's Spider-Man from the comics. He moves like a spider. He moves like the character in the comics. So they finally reached that point with Batman. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's see. You guys got anything else as far as Justice League?
As far as Justice League, like the trailer,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's something that I didn't notice or I forgot to mention. Obviously we see Jim Gordon for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's great to see him in there. It's a little bit of fun dialogue, and I'm excited to see the relationship, how it's progressed in 20 years between Batman and Jim Gordon.
Yeah, I imagine that's going to be incredible. Like they're all like both of those characters are going to be on the same level with each other.
Yeah.
Oh man, that'll be great.
And what was
Rooftop
his-
meetups with Batman.
Oh, yeah. What was his
the
line?
best.
Like, it's good to see you working with people again.
Yeah.
Such a nice, like, he means like, oh yeah, when you used to work with, Nightwing and Robin, and I love that idea of like Batman has a history here.
Yeah. It's his city. I mean, that's what you got to remember always. Like Gotham is his city. Nobody else's.
I'm excited. I can't wait to see it. Like I said before, this will be the last thing I see before I see the film. I don't want to see anything more, but I loved everything that I saw in this one.
Very cool.
Yeah, no, I think I'm all set on that side. Like, just super stoked.
Very, very cool. Yeah, I can't really add anything to that, but I'm a fan of the way the DC universe is going. So I especially like they obviously Man of Steel was like mixed reactions, and then we talked about Batman v Superman and all that. And then Suicide Squad. But it seems like finally they're getting like Justice League feels right. Wonder Woman looks right. I think things are starting to line up a little bit. Definitely in a positive direction. So
it's becoming centralized, which is what we just need to be patient. Someone said the other day, and it just kind of it amazed me that people don't think the same way about the DC cinematic universe. But someone was like, oh, you have to forgive Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 1 because the MCU wasn't figured out yet, so they were still figuring everything out, and so like some of those films aren't so great. And I was like, why would someone say that? But then for like the DC films, like that's not the same.
Yeah, they trash
mindset.
on it the first chance
it's
they
like,
get.
Because you take the first Phase 1 Marvel franchise, and you're thinking Incredible Hulk was all right. Thor was
terrible.
And Captain America was rushed or poorly edited.
Too many montages.
Too many montages of the stuff that you actually wanted to see, and the stuff that you didn't really care for was drawn out. So it was like you look at all those, and then a lot of people didn't like Iron Man 2 for some reason. But I understand if you don't like Iron Man 2, but I'm just saying, like, when you look at those first 5 films, and it was just kind of like, and then you're like, oh, but the Avengers is coming out, and then Avengers was, amazing when it came out. So people forgave it. People forgave all those films. I still think Thor has yet to have a good film, and I'm excited for them with this new one. I'm looking forward to it. It looks like the Thor film that we've been needing for the past 10 years.
Yeah.
So
Cosmic Thor.
So like, just give it time and be patient and look for the good in everything. And don't spend your time and energy focusing on negative stuff, because that's not a healthy life to live.
True. Like if you're a fan, you're gonna find something to like about it. And even if it's just like one aspect or one character, like come on.
The worst fan is the one who says, like, I'm such a huge fan of this franchise, that I have to hate everything
Right.
in it.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not how you should live as a person, despite your fandoms, despite this is an everyday life. If you're spending your time and energy to be negative about something, it seems like deep down there's a bigger discontent within yourself that you are displacing your attention on. And like, that's something that you might need to think more internally, like, okay, why am I like this, and why am I dogging on what I love when I should be just loving what I love?
Yeah.
That's your passion for it should you should always, I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't
It's
listen to me.
easy
Welcome back to therapy sessions with Mark.
It's easy to jump on the internet and just hate on something, to just dogpile on, jump on the bandwagon of, oh yeah, you're right, that sucks, when deep down you're like, but I really like Green Lantern, but I'm not going to say I like Green Lantern because that might single me out, and I don't want to draw that attention, so it's weird. Like, I've kind of, if you listen to any like Kevin Smith, and he talks about Jason Mewes, and like, that guy has never read a bad comic book, because to him every comic book is just great. He just loves it cover to cover. Like, doesn't matter what it is. It could be the worst comic ever or the best comic ever, and to him it's comic books, so he's just gonna love it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way like I've been the last, with ever since like, the first Blade movie that kind of kicked off the, modern, comic book movie, age that we're in. Like, all of these movies to me have been good movies. Like, and it's probably not, the ideal outlook to go into when you're trying to do a movie review podcast, but I have a hard time with like hating on these comic book movies, and I do find the good in just about everything I watch. So maybe to some degree, like maybe not so much with like a Catwoman, but whatever. So
I like what Kevin Smith said. He said a while back when Dawn of Justice first came out, but he was like, as a comic book fan, if you say you're a comic book fan, it should be your duty as a comic book fan to go and see every comic book superhero movie, or just comic book movie in general.
Yeah.
Whether it's, Batman, Marvel film, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, Watchmen. It's your duty as a comic book fan to go pay money to go see it, whether, and just because the day that we dog on comic book films and then we stop and we like basically start boycotting them. Yeah. If angry nerds are going to be angry nerds and they're going to like not go see Justice League or not going to see Wonder Woman, in the future, Hollywood's going to look at that and say, maybe we should just stop making comic book films.
Right.
And then before you know it, it's over.
Yeah.
And then there's no more comic book films because we chose not to pay to see them. So it's just like, well, support what you love, and it's comic book films, it's comic book superhero films. The day we stop seeing them is the day, that era ends. Yeah. Which I don't know, maybe it needs to. Maybe that's a debate for another time.
All right. Well, you guys got anything else? I mean, now, as far as what we've talked about, or if not, we can move into just wrapping this thing up, and you can tell our listeners a little bit more about what you guys do and where they can find you. And...
Yeah.
So
let's do that.
You want to say it, Nate, or you want to plug the show a bit?
You're a little bit more well versed, more well versed than I am.
So if you love us talking about DC stuff, DC superheroes, talking about the glory of Superman, we do a minute by minute podcast called DC Cinematic Minute, in which we look at the films of the DC Extended Universe. Right now we're covering Man of Steel. We're diving into every little minute of the film and talking about what makes Superman great, what makes this film so great, and to us it's been such a I think we came in like, all right, we'll talk about Man of Steel, and then it ended up being like I don't know, it was like being born again with Superman, with the love of Superman. It was just like we've surprised ourselves of just how great the film is.
Yeah.
And then we're not like totally biased, so like sometimes we'll talk about what doesn't work or how the film could have been better. But for the most part, I used to like the film, and now I love the film because the format that we've done with it. So we hope other people will listen to it, and they as well would be like, you know what, this makes this film so much better for me. So. And then we laugh a lot about it, so it's good stuff.
Well, I'm definitely one of those people. I mean, and we talked on your show yesterday, but I was one of those that went into the movie enjoying the movie, but now that I'm partway, I guess over halfway through your analysis of it, it's intensified my enjoyment and love for Man of Steel. So I'm really, really looking forward to continuing this with you guys. And are you guys doing Suicide Squad next, or
Dawn of Justice next?
Okay.
Dawn of Justice, the Ultimate Edition,
right on.
And then Suicide Squad,
the Ultimate Edition.
The Ultimate Edition. Yeah, we don't cut corners over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got that. I also do the same kind of format, but for Quentin Tarantino's movies. And right now, me and our other buddy Mike, we're covering Reservoir Dogs. So
nice. Yeah.
We got a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, we've
it's
talked
a real chill one.
Oh, nice. We've talked about the movies by minute format enough on our show, so hopefully the listeners should be familiar enough with that concept. I mean, I've talked endlessly about Star Wars Minute, how they started it all, and we just had Crystal Beth on our show. She was on our Return of the Jedi episode, so hopefully people are kind of familiar with that concept of the movies by minute and kind of what you guys are doing. So
yeah, our week with Crystal Beth starts tomorrow, the 1st of May.
Okay. Yeah.
There's no April 31st, right? Or is there an April 31st?
Yeah, tomorrow is the 1st. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So tomorrow.
That's great.
A week ago on this episode, Crystal Beth was on our show.
So you're trying to do the timeline in your head?
Right, yeah.
All right.
Do some time travel.
There you go. Flashpoint.
I might have interrupted you guys earlier, but where can everyone find you? I just want to make sure and hit that so that...
All social media at DCEU Minute. That's where you can find it. But on iTunes, you can just type in DC Cinematic Minute.
Right on. All right. Well, our listeners can find us at Real Comic Heroes pretty much everywhere. Please hit us up with emails, tweets, whatever, letting us know what you think of Last Jedi and Justice League, and we'd love to share those on the show. So, yeah, I think that's going to do it.
Sweet deal.
Thanks for coming on, guys.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having us on to talk about the two franchises that we love the most.
Yeah. These were kind of important.
Yeah.
I feel a little a little proud to have talked about these two trailers.
Nice.
They're pretty big. They're a big deal. So thank you for including us in on these.
Absolutely.
My pleasure. Yeah. And I know yesterday we talked about possibly having you guys on in the future for like Batman Returns or. So
yes,
I'll definitely add you guys into that slot on our list. But if there's anything between now and then you guys want to come on for, like, just check out our list on our website and just hit me up. So
you got it.
Thank you so much.
yeah. So I think that'll do it for this episode, and I'll say goodbye for Patrick, who could not be here, and should be back in 2 weeks for Octopussy.